Oh, we are live. Okay. Welcome to Slow and Steady, the podcast where you get to follow along as we build products in public. Each episode gives you an honest peek into our lives as we share our struggles, our wins, and everything in between. I'm Benedicta, and I'm feeling curious.
And I'm Benedict. Today is August 6th. This is episode number 226, and I'm feeling productive.
And if I'm correct, it's the 6 years anniversary this week, or was it last week, of the podcast?
Something like that, I guess yesterday or something like that. At least it's
Yeah.
the anniversary of our was it like, actually, I don't know. Was it like when we published the first episode or when we signed up for the Transistor account? Or I don't know. But Transistor emailed us about like having this podcast for 6 years, which is wild, I guess. Like, it's been a lot of stuff happened in the last 6 years.
A lot of stuff has happened, and I think it's been 4 years for me. So I guess we need to do one of these like updates episode again, like reintroduce ourselves and what we're working on. Because we do
We should
speak as everybody
probably
knows what we're doing.
should probably do those once a year or something like that.
Something like that. But not today. Let's jump right in
Let's jump right in. Yeah.
and
If
dear
you
listener, you'll
haven't
just have to try to follow along.
exactly, and if you have no idea what we're talking about, I think episode 200 was the last one we did, and like overview of what we're actually doing and who we are and stuff like that. So I guess go back to that, or the previous one was episode 100. I don't remember. Something like that.
Something like that.
So, what has been happening in Benedictaland?
Benedictland had a summer cold. I think I mentioned that last week. So I've been like everything's been a little slow. And then on top of that, on top of like, yeah, just the summer cold and the heat and vacation mode and everything, I was just had a hard time like getting back into tech. I'm just like, ugh, I don't know. I'm a little blah about that. I've been a little blah about the whole thing. Um, it's been a while since I was like, oh, it would be so much fun to code this thing. But then I looked at our notes and I'm like, that's not really true because I did like a stint where I was making these like little node script examples from for Outseta early in the summer, and that was a lot of fun. But even through that, I mean, just feeling like a little bit like blah about our industry, really.
Right.
Oh, somebody just came home. Okay, they said they're going to try and be quiet. And I don't know what, it might just be that I've been in the business for so long that like the new discussions just feel like old discussions. And I don't know, for the first time I didn't feel like conference FOMO. Like there's been some big conferences and there's been photos from them, and I was like, yeah, I don't really want to travel around the world to like hang out and talk about the newest stuff. I don't know where I'll land on this. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing or just like how it should be. But I used to be more excited about the new stuff.
I guess it's just the overall tiredness about like everything. I can totally relate to that sentiment. And for me, it's like something that ebbs and flows. Like sometimes I have phases
Hmm.
where I'm like, I couldn't care less, and then sometimes I have phases where I'm like, yes, let's do all the conferences at once, um, and all of that.
But it's
Like,
but it's been a while since I conferenced, so I was like, I was thinking the itch was gonna come back, but it hasn't yet. But this week I was like, oh, I want to code something, and testing out new languages, full stack language, Laravel. And it was a lot of fun. And the AI helping me was a lot of fun because I could get like a lot of code up and running. And then I could use the AI to like ask questions like, well, why, how does this work? What does this mean in Laravel? And like things just made sense and it was pretty easy to come up and running. And we need a new logged in pages for which is the one company I work for, because we're working on we've gotten money to work on like a test prototype where
mhm.
when a big bike gets stolen, We need to have like a full flow for what happens with the user, with the police, with the insurance, with the investigator. Because I think I mentioned this, we have an investigator that will go out and like steal back the bike, but you can't steal back the bike until it's been reported stolen, because then you're stealing the bike. So it has to be a report at the police that the bike is stolen before we can go and steal back the bike that is actually ours, and stuff like that. So there's like a whole flow, and we're using that opportunity to kind of rebuild our login pages, because our login pages is like minimal at best, but it's a next application beast. And every time I go into this project, like, not, it doesn't want to run because of something, new dependencies. And I guess it's probably like that in Laravel too. It just feels like it moves a little bit slower than the JavaScript ecosystem. And then our whole web page, we can't update anything in our CMS because the version of Sanity that we have is now deprecated. So we have to upgrade to the newest Sanity. Otherwise, we can't add a field or something. Like, I don't know, it's just giving me all kinds of warnings. And then we keep getting these like overages reports from Sanity, which is not their fault, but it's the way that the next application has been set up, and there's been like multiple developers, and it's just like a lot of things. So for a long time, I thought, like, let's move out the logged in pages at least, so we have that functionality. And then for our marketing page, we could basically use anything, right? It could just be like a simple page builder. But looking at how we're operating now, where we're not like in growth mode, we're not in kind of innovation mode anymore. We just need a page with some bikes, and there's like 2 options after for plans, and then people can order it. And maybe it would be good to just have something like super simplistic and stable, because that's what we need now. We just need stable. We need to be able to sell bikes for a year without upgrading anything.
Yeah, I can relate
because
to that.
Operational wise, we're doing pretty well, but we can't have a staff of developers to just make sure that we can like publish our site and sell bikes. It's just, and I think this is also part of the tech fatigue, right? Where it's like, it's ridiculous that you can't have a marketing site that sells a couple of bikes without having to upgrade to a new major version and change, even though it's an easy job, it's like still takes a lot of time, like time wise, to just get through all the upgrades. And I'm just like, it's and that's maybe like an age thing too, where it's like things have to be able to live for more than a freaking year. Like it's
very true. What I found, what's helping with this a little bit, at least, like for quite a while, like the static site generator version we were using for our website was a little bit outdated and had some problems running on my newer Mac because like stuff didn't compile and stupid stuff like that, basically. And what we did do for a while, until we found the time to actually sit down and upgrade everything, is just setting up a dev container specifically on GitHub Code Spaces, I think it's called, where we basically locked everything down to like Linux version from like 4 years ago, and like packaged versions from 4 years ago, and all of that, and just have it have this isolated environment, including the operating system, that was like stuck in time. And then we would just run that, and stuff would build, and we could publish and all of it. So maybe that's something you want to look at. So at least
the issue here is like, I kind of did that because what I did last time I ran the project now is just lock down all of the npm packages to like the exact version, so it doesn't try to upgrade anything. The issue here is, and we don't really need it now, but like if we wanted to just add a field to Sanity, we can't, because Sanity is hosted at Sanity.
Right. You're right. Yeah. Okay.
Like
that
you
part,
feel like
sure.
when you feel like when you start using Sanity that it's local, but it's not local. It's not like you don't have the CMS in your system, even though you can kind of like you can use code to kind of spin it up and define everything, which is really cool, but it's not running on your machine, and they've deprecated our version, so we can't like change anything because they've probably locked down our thing in some kind of container. I haven't even looked into it. Like this, what I'm saying now might be wrong, so don't come after me if you love Sanity. And I mean, they're from my country. I need to be a fan.
But not sure if that's how it works, but Yeah.
But this is, well, it is in Tech Norway. Like, I love all
Okay.
tech that comes out of Norway.
Okay.
Just let's just put that out there. I love all of it. No, but that's what kind of is a little bit alluring with whole, the like you guys have with Ruby or with Laravel, is that you can actually just time machine it on a box and just like own, you can buy a CMS. I think like Statamic is like $250 or something, and you just own it. And you can just like lock it down to that version. And as long as you don't need major bug fixes and stuff, like whatever you have works. And you can like put it on some kind of server that has an older version or whatever. I don't know. I might be just because this is like new to me and unknown, like I'm putting it, like looking at it with like rosy rose tinted glasses, but it feels a little annoying for the kind of company that we are this dependent on external services not changing.
Yeah. I mean, makes sense. I get it.
But we'll see how it fare on. But so I think that's part of like the tech fatigue, where I'm like, I just want to build cool products, offer cool services, like the creation part. And I know maintaining is part of it, but like keeping up with companies like need to innovate on things that doesn't really need, like it was working. We just needed to keep on working. We don't need, new AI features or whatever. We just need it to work. I had like, I'm gonna ramble a little bit more because we got an email, because all of our operations is on Airtable. We talked about this before. It's like a decision that was made, and actually that works really well. Like Airtable has been super stable. Like, they'll keep moving forward and give you new capabilities, but we haven't had any time where they've like emailed and said like, you have to do major changes, otherwise things won't work. But this summer there was like this new email, this email that came out where like Airtable was like, we're going all in on AI, and I was like, oh my god, what is gonna happen? Are they gonna like remove our whole interface? Are they becoming just like AI first, and none of the stuff that we're that we have working will stop working? Like maybe they're at that point where they're gonna tell us that you need to redo everything, otherwise it won't work anymore. But they haven't, luckily. Like I was scared to log in after that email. I was like,
Right.
oh no, oh no, oh no. But we haven't gotten any deprecation emails, just this like announcement, and it's basically a sidebar where you can like chat with the interface, which is, it's fine. We don't need it, but it's there. But as long as they're not taking away our basic functionality,
Yeah.
I'm okay. But it did make me scared, and that like showed like how not dependent, but how, I guess dependent too, but we don't set the agenda when we want to do things. Like if one
Right.
of these companies decide to change or deprecate things tomorrow, it's usually a pretty tight timeline. It's not
Yeah.
like Express version where you have like 4 years to upgrade.
Right. And then it's still running, just not patched anymore and stuff like that, right? Yeah.
Well, rant over. This was I just needed to put it out there into the ether.
Yeah.
Let me know if you've ever felt this way and gotten over it, dear listener.
Felt this way. Don't think I'll ever get over it, I guess. Not fully, I guess.
But what's up in your world?
Yeah, things are smooth over here, smooth sailing for the most part. We continue working on the redesign of both the website and our app. I think both are now in a state where they're shippable, I guess. At least everything is okay. Nothing's like completely broken. But of course, there's more stuff we want to polish a little bit. And yeah, but like now it's basically making excuses time for like not shipping. I guess somewhat.
Ship it.
Yeah, like there's a couple of things we want to do, but we haven't set a launch date yet. But I think we we should probably set a launch date sometime soon, just to prioritize stuff and like make a decision on what to cut and what to still do. I keep you all posted when we set that, but again, should be somewhere in the next couple of weeks. On the website, we added auto-generated social media graphics for the first time ever, and I looked at using a service for that, but in the end, just decided to roll our own with Chrome and a small Ruby library that's just like generates some HTML, screenshots it, and saves it. Works surprisingly well. It took me 2 hours or something like that to build. So that's pretty cool. And the other cool thing I discovered by accident is like one of the change we made on the new website design is that we have like all these little illustrations everywhere, basically like sketches and stuff like that. And by default, they're like pretty big PNGs. And I wanted a way to just resize them everywhere. And I looked at like either doing this in the like using Ruby in the build process, or looked at Cloudinary and Emacs or whatever that's called to like resize stuff. And yeah, like wasn't really excited about like paying more money to and yet another service, as well as like those
Like we
all
just
wouldn't
talked
work.
about.
Exactly, those all wouldn't work in local development, as far as I understood, because they had no way to access the local images and stuff like that. Unless I'm wrong, but that's my understanding of it. But then I discovered that Netlify has this built in. Did you know that?
I think I've actually heard about it, where they go through all of the outputted HTML, and then they do the image processing, and then they change the URL like while they're in the build process. Is that
I
how they do
probably
it?
need to look at this as well, but like that's not. I think they're used to that, but it's not how it works anymore.
Okay.
But they have like an edge function that you can call with
Mhm.
a path and some params, and then we'll just like do the request to your own file system or whatever, and
I
just
think this is
generate a
part of the
new.
Gatsby acquisition. I think now,
Maybe,
because
yeah, could
Gatsby
be.
had that.
It
Gatsby had
mentions a
that
lot of
where
Gatsby stuff in the docs. So I ended up just using that and just rewriting the URLs for that during the production build, and works pretty well. Like it's included, doesn't cost anything extra, and also converts stuff to WebP and other supported formats depending on what the browser is able to handle and stuff like that. So pretty nice, and allowed us to reduce like overall page size by a couple of megabytes on the homepage. So that was pretty nice.
it is fun when it is, because that was like one of the good things about Gatsby Cloud was their image, their built-in image CDN. And
Yeah, I think
so I'm pretty
it
sure
must
it's
be the thing. Yeah.
well, good something came out of it.
True. Otherwise, it's pretty dead, Gatsby these days, isn't it?
I haven't. Well, my site is still Gatsby. Rewriting it
Right.
because I don't want to. I don't want to upgrade and run it anymore. No, it seems very dead. Unfortunately, I think
Yeah.
I
Bummer.
still really liked it as a static site generator, and it kind of just fell through a little bit when it tried to become Next. And I feel like Next is kind of failing on being Next at this point, even though it's like used a lot.
Failing at being itself.
No, but I just sense a lot of fatigue around, trying to like taking the thoughts behind Gatsby and Next and making it into proper full stack frameworks is not going as well and as easily as the creators thought, where Ruby and Rails or Laravel on PHP has like years of doing it a certain way, and it's cumbersome for at least that's what I feel like. A lot of it feels cumbersome because I'm used to just nilly-willy
Right.
just ask for what I need and stuff. But for a full stack framework, that's what you kind of need. And I don't think Next or Gatsby got all the way and kind of got lost there somewhere in the middle. And
Right.
I hope Astra doesn't go the same way, because I still think there's a place for just like a static site builder, and Astra is the one that is closest, I feel like, in ideology to what Gatsby was. But where you can build these sites and you can have an API anywhere and you pull that data in, and as long as you don't rebuild, like, it's gonna work forever, and it's super nice, and it's a very
Yeah.
good developer experience for those kind of, maybe just like content pages, but also even like lighter, if you just want like a marketing product, or it doesn't even have to be like a lighter product where like a tool or something like that, where, okay, you don't want to have it be built to perfection with models and controllers and all of that. You just kind of need a little bit of interaction. You maybe need some user data. Maybe, it was really good for that. But then trying to become a Ruby on Rails, but without going all the way, it just kind of, I don't know. And I'm in rant mode today. I'm sorry, everybody, but it's just like, or not rant,
I
but like
like
rambling mode.
Benedicta in
Where,
rant mode. Like that's totally fine.
so I hope somebody can just make something like that and keep it at that simpler level, or not simpler even,
Right.
but just for that purpose, be like, this is our niche and this is what we're going to do really well, and not try to become everything for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's always a problem, right? Like, yeah, whatever. Like, let's not go down that road.
I mean, I guess you have the same issues in your SaaS as we have in Outseta and every other SaaS, where users request new features and then you say yes, and suddenly you said yes to 10 of them, and suddenly you're not, the simplistic service you thought you were going to be. And then you're like,
True. Yeah.
what direction are we actually going in, and what was the vision here? And it's hard.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that. A couple of weeks ago, I was browsing Reddit and SaaS Reddit, or like email marketing Reddit, and there was a thread of like, I'm building a simple email marketing SaaS for like software products, and then listed like all the things that like, yeah, like that make them simple, basically, right? And I'm like, yeah, I remember that. I was like, yep, I that was exactly where we started, and look at where we are now, and most of it is just because of customer demand. So while there was some activity on this thread of like, yeah, absolutely, I'm interested in this simple thing, like, can't wait to get started. I looking forward to see how things develop over time, because in the end, there's so much stuff that people want and that also kind of makes sense. That's the worst part, right? Like, I mean, it's easy to say no to stuff that's just ludicrous and like is not useful or like a bad idea. But unfortunately, a lot of stuff is actually not a bad idea. So yeah, that's why Userlist is where it is at now. So yeah. Anyways, what else has been going on? Let me think about that.
I can talk about
Yeah.
my new vision for whatever we're gonna create as our side SaaS, or whatever you want to call it. Because there was this thing
Let's
called,
talk about that.
there wasn't this thing, it's still a thing, product market fit. Like, you need a product that fits in the market. Somebody needs to want what you're making, right? But
Right.
then people were talking about product founder fit. That is also important, that it's a product that works for the founder, both for the founder's skill set, but also the life that the founder kind of wants. Because
Right.
there is, different SaaSes are demand different things from you as a founder. And then in our family, we've now started talking about family product fit, or product family fit. I don't know which way is best. where we kind of want a family business, and it might consist of several things, but we want everyone to be involved, which means it's me and my partner Ula, but then also our daughter who is 10. She can already contribute if she understands the projects. And she started making videos, stop motion videos, but also just like little short videos, so she could be a marketing machine if we unleashed her. So we've been like looking at our ideas more through that lens, and I wrote an email today about like what that means, and so far I'm thinking like it needs to be something where the whole family understands, and that the whole family can contribute to. And then I think I wrote chill summers. I need to have slow summers. And that can, potentially maybe become like a 5K a month business, because I've realized, and I go back and forth with this, but I have now realized I need multiple projects. I've said this before, and then I try to not, and then I come back to it. So for us, it wouldn't be like this one thing that would be 100% for everyone all the time. And that's a little bit about customer got me thinking a little bit about customer demand. Or when you were talking about that, it's like, okay, maybe we're okay with having a smaller feature product that is only fits for some, and if people need more, they will have to migrate off of us to keep it in the shape and the size that we can, so it's sustainable for us as a family. So, looking through that lens, my idea about Galleon, which is authentication middleware, where we'll kind of intercept, data coming from no-code platforms such as Airtable, and add row-level security to that by, checking the user's authentication service, does not fit. I mean, it's a great idea. I might still at some future like want to do it. I still want to not do, but like looking through it from the that family product lens, from the family product fit, it doesn't compute, because like I cannot explain it to my daughter who's 10. I tried to explain it to Ula, who has some developer experience, but it's still like it's a very it's an advanced kind of concept. And then as we talked about, we're going to try and sell it to no coders. So maybe it's just a too advanced like I can't explain it to them. Maybe I can't explain it or sell it to anyone. And also it will become mission critical. Like we'll intercept every request. And most of these customers probably wouldn't be like high load, so it's not like you guys where it's like a high demand from scale, but there's still this certain, you're part of their kind of core business, and people will be outraged and like support and stuff if there is downtime. So then I started looking back at like IDs and things, and we started talking about this, like this old ID that we had came back to me, and we did a lot of work, I think it's like 8 years ago, on audio guides that are location specific. So, or they call it location specific radio. There's like different terms, but let's say you are a local historical society and you want more people to visit your town or like learn about your town. You make some kind of audio recordings about the history, about certain buildings, and you go to that building and you can listen to the story about that building. And at the point we were working on this, there was some interest, but like web apps weren't where they were today. QR codes weren't where they were today. So a lot of the issues that we had were like around discoverability, where would they get to know that there is an audio guide for this area or for this thing? Yeah. But it came back now because we were out walking in the botanical gardens, the whole family, and they had these glass things with stuffed animals inside of them. It's not called stuffed animals. It's called like something where they make animals, taxidermy, something like that. Yeah. And there was no information. They were just like standing there, and they had gotten money from some kind of fund, Norwegian fund, to like make the park more interesting. So my daughter was like, "Oh, what is that? Is that a fat pigeon?" And we were like, that would be a fun story about the fat pigeon that was there. And then kind of that idea came back, and I was like, now everybody knows what a QR code was. So if there's a QR code on this thing with like headphones or something, somebody would realize, oh, I can just QR code it and there will be some audio for me here. So that got us like thinking about that old idea again. So that's the one I'm most excited about at the moment, because I do think, she even wants to make story guides, right? For this like guerrilla style, just like we'll print a QR code and put it on a thing that's not even ours, and there will be a story about the fat pigeon that Lillian has recorded. So it's a great marketing idea right there. Yeah, so things have shifted in that space, and also I think at the time, after a while, like it's very much just a CM, like you make a content management system and you add some audio files. It wasn't like super technically challenging. But so that was also something that made me not be so interested back then. But like now, I'm like, it's a contained idea. I know how to solve it technically. We can make it and it can live without having to get new features every week. Like this is not something that is going to change that much. I mean, there will be requests, of course, from users. So that's the one I'm most interested in at the moment. So we're going to try and first step is to call up all of the people we talked to back then and be like, hey, is this still an issue? What did you find to solve it? Would you be interested? Yeah. And then there's POW, that is still Allow, which is my menstrual cycle app that I kind of just left to die, and it doesn't want to die. And I haven't done anything with it. So, there's a family product fit there too, because, my daughter is 10. She's going to need something. And I don't want her to use the menstrual cycle app that feeds the algorithms of our world. So,
right.
That could also come up as a potential thing that we want to do.
Right.
So that was another longer ramble from me, but that's what I've been thinking about. Family product fit. I think it's a novel concept, and I will be touring my talk about family product fits in a year from now.
I kind of like the audio guide idea, and I just want to like mention that it doesn't have to be limited to audio either, right? Like, could be just like, I mean, as you said, like it's basically a CMS, and then you could serve videos or audio or like just descriptions and have a nice interface for people to manage the content and maybe get some analytics of like what's popular and stuff like that. And that's it, I guess, right? Like just curate it a little bit. That reminds me of a business I have been working, or I had been working for in my freelancing days. And what they did was basically have QR codes on, I think it was supplements and stuff like that, like medication of sorts. And they had this QR code on them that you could scan, and then you get basically like the description of ingredients and safety notices and stuff like that. And what was really great about that particular business is that apparently there's a law that that information has to be there for a certain number of years. And they did sell it to retailers, and the retailers would just have to pay them for like 10 years or something like that to keep that stuff up and running. So that was interesting, I guess, and in a similar space. So
There is a guy in MegaMaker who is really doing well now, doing the same thing but for wine.
For
'Cause there's some
wines,
new
right? Like, yeah.
there's like a new EU law where you have to declare all the kind, if it's like all the kind of ingredient, like if you add things to the wine or if it's a natural wine, and same kind of thing. And he's made a product that seems to be doing really well, and he's now buying the other products because they've promised that the information is going to stay up for 5 or 10 years. So they don't want to end up, I guess, in some kind of legal battles. It's better for them to then sell to him than to have to like fold their business or keep this running if they're not doing as well. So it looks like he's doing really well in the MegaMaker community. It looks like he's doing really well. And I think what's interesting about this, if we go from a Norwegian perspective, is that these things that we found in the botanical garden, they have been paid for by this fund, and all of these funds will they fund projects, they don't fund maintenance. Like this is one of the
Right.
issues with a lot of these funds. So if we could make our payment model in the way that you're talking about, where it's like, okay, so the project pays for 5 years or 10 years, then we could actually, get substantial money upfront to just pay for 5 years, which is not always a good thing because then you have to be alive for 5 years,
Right.
of course. But at this point, for me, it's like 5 years is nothing. Like POW has been running for 5 years and I haven't touched it, and it's doing okay.
Right.
Like, it's still alive. Nobody has lost their data yet. So we could actually get, a little bit of money up front, which means that we could pay for the hosting and stuff without having to like take that out of pocket in the beginning, because the hosting is not going to cost that much, I think. But I think Kate, like,
Depends on how popular the audio guide gets.
Yeah, depends on how. Yeah, that's true. And that's why I really want to start with location-based audio guides, because it's very niche. Like, you have to be there. It's not like there's going to be 100,000 people wanting to listen to this audio guide at that specific point. Of course, they can send the QR code to somebody and then they can scan it and listen to it. But there's never going to be suddenly 100,000 people listening to the same audio at the same time. That's just not. So it's a very like contained product, and it's because the other thing, like with my tech fatigue, is I want to work more with like real people in like real life, and being able to maybe even like travel in Norway and like teach this historical society how to use their project. Like, I don't even have to make money off of that part. It would just be fun to like go there and they pay for a training, but it doesn't have to like be a big money maker. But having like going out there, meeting real people in like real settings, it's making me excited. But back to the pricing, is like, I think if we go for the Norwegian market first, and we really make it so that they can pay for it in a way that makes sense for these projects that are usually funded by funds, or like project funds, and we kind of understand that cycle, then we could be a better player than potential competitors from other countries that kind of don't have that local knowledge about how these guys would want to pay.
Right.
Yeah. Because
I mean,
payment is all.
Sounds like there's also an obvious way on how to validate this by just like trying to sell it, right? Like trying to find someone who's willing to pay for this.
And we already have 3 audio guides that are still running on a domain on Netlify, and has been running for 8 years. So at least one of those guides is by an agency that helps. It's like they call it like cultural agency or something. They help with like art and stuff in public buildings or different types of things like that. And they have one of their projects hosted with us, and they only paid once. It was like a test project. But so they're an obvious like, hey, we want to make something out of this, and we'll use your as like a test thing, as a test guide. And then we have our own guides that are on there. And then there was this project that we talked about, where it's the Ibsen Museum. So Ibsen is a famous Norwegian writer. And from the museum, you can walk from the museum and then downtown. And there's like there's a guide. And they ended up with like physical units that they could hand out, because they wanted to charge money. That was the only way they figured out they could charge money, was to like rent out this thing. But then you have to go to the museum, you have to pick it up, and then you have to give it back, and you could give it back at some like kiosk at the end. And I'm pretty sure this is not working anymore. Like, I am 80% sure that these devices are not being rented out anymore, but the audio is still there. So that's one of my like first points when some Norwegian summer vacation is over, is calling the people who made this and get the contacts at the Ibsen Museum and be like, hey, what's up with that audio guide? Like, do you want to be our test customer? And you can get it back out there. And in the future, we can even charge people on your behalf.
I was about to say, like, you could also just do like a Stripe marketplace type of thing, where you just like charge people and then you get like 10% of that. And people can just unlock their like audio guide for a day or so. Yeah, that's interesting. Sounds like this could work.
Yeah. I'm happy to hear you say that, because usually it's like, yeah. I was like, this one could work.
Yeah, like keep us posted. I mean, this sounds
Yeah.
sounds interesting. I kind of want to just go build it.
I mean, we've already started building it, of course. No. Ula has started building it. So as a like training for like Laravel training, and then if it
Right.
becomes something, it becomes something. But it's a very good, and again, like contained, and it's not hard to like write down the specifications for a first version
Right.
of this. And as you said, it can become like, it doesn't have to be audio only, but I really want to start audio only from all the things that we learned when we did this last
Right.
time. With audio, you could still look at the things that you're around. You're not staring at a screen. We like really don't want to encourage people looking at a screen while they're out and about. And that's one other thing. And the other thing is, if you interview the person at the spot, they will speak in a way that makes it more engaging, because they will talk about the things they see around them, and you're standing in the same spot. So it becomes more engaging than if you go to their office and you interview them about the same thing.
Right.
So there's a lot about this like location specific thing that we learned a lot about. And hopefully the one of the girls that we did this with has had 2 kids, and I think the youngest is like 4 or 5 now. So she also might be interested in kind of picking this up again from the content side.
Mhm.
Like she was a content producer, location specific content, audio content producers. What they were trying to like build a business around that. So
Nice.
this became a long one since I was in ranty mode.
Yeah.
Ranty
But sounds exciting. I mean, I could see this. It depends on market demand and everything, I guess. But like, sounds reasonable. Probably not $1 million business, but could be like a $5K a month business, and perfect for a family product fit, right? Yeah.
Family product. What do people want to call it? Product family fit. I really need feedback on this. Do we call it PFF or FPF?
I honestly don't know. I mean, it's product market fit and product founder fit, so I guess it is product family fit. But then again, then it's PFF, and you don't know which one it is. I don't know. Like, doesn't matter that much, I guess. Talking about product market fit, one thing I did last week at the end of the month was shutting down my very first SaaS product.
This
It was
is so
still up and
sad.
running, and now I pulled the plug on everything. The only one thing that's still there is Droplet in DigitalOcean that is just suspended and not yet deleted. Because I noticed that one of my previous customers was still like it was the mail server, and they were still from time to time at least accessing the mail. So I shut it down, and I'm now waiting for them to complain. And if they don't complain in a couple of weeks, then I assume that they don't care, and I will just turn it off for good. Or like actually, it's off, but like they will delete it. Everything else, I hope, is gone. So there's no more. Well, there might be one last round of invoices, but then I don't have to pay for any of it anymore. I don't have to maintain any of it anymore. I don't have to upgrade any of it anymore. I don't have to deal with stupid support requests anymore. And yeah, then it's gone. End of an era, I guess. Interestingly, 10 years after it launched, I think I launched it July 15th, 2015, yes. And yeah, now it's gone and shut down.
Are you not sad? I got sad. I was like sad on the little sass's behalf.
I don't know. Like, sure, it's a little bit end of an era, but like I knew it was that, like as a concept or as a business 7 years ago before we started Userlist. So it's not like So it's not like it's like a sudden thing or something like that. I kept
Mm.
nursing it, and it kept like it was up and running with still a few paying customers until couple weeks ago. But now, yeah, everything is moved off, and it feels. I mean, honestly, I don't have any big feelings about it at this point. But if anything, it feels like a relief because it's like one less thing to maintain, one less thing to pay for, one less thing to worry about, I guess. So yeah, it's fine.
Well, so I have another 5 years to decide about Pow's life.
Yeah, maybe. Um, yeah, do whatever you think is best, I guess. And for this one, it was best to just shut it down.
Yeah, I hear you about like the simplifying. As you know, longtime listeners know, we're in the middle of rebuilding. We're redoing. We're getting bedrooms in this house that we've moved into. But there's things all around me, and yeah, just getting rid of things, not having to be in charge of their like well-being. even though
Yeah.
there are things, you still feel bad when there's like broken stuff and you were supposed to fix it and you didn't fix it and it's just sitting in a corner, and at some point just like get rid of that thing. So that's our goal for the coming weeks, is getting rid of even more stuff.
Yeah, part of me is always like, from a sustainability point of view, getting rid of stuff is a bad idea, right? Like usually you're supposed to like make the most use of it and just keep it and recycle it and all of it. But I also, to be honest, enjoy getting rid of stuff and just like not having them around anymore, and not keeping them. But yeah, I'm a little bit conflicted on it from a sustainability side of things, but so what?
Yeah, we are
Anyways,
too, and I
anything.
think that doesn't help. It like we have the same thing, and it doesn't help, right? Because one is like you like the things maybe, but then it's the exact this thing, like we're drowning in trash, and we just we're gonna throw out even more stuff. It's
Right. Yeah.
whew.
Yeah. Not buying stuff in the first place is probably the key to not drowning
That
in
is the
trash.
key. That is the key. True that.
Also, not super
well.
easy to do all the time. Anyways, anything else you want to discuss?
No, I think I'm good.
Cool. Well then, have a nice couple of weeks until we record the next time, and see you around the interwebs.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.